Kia ora, and welcome to the Sharesies Special. My name is Redden Wallace from the Company Partnerships team at Sharesies, and today we'll take a look at the newly listed AI and Web3 specialist, Being AI. In this episode, we unpack what the company does, the people behind it, and their ambition for the future. Now, shortly, I'll be joined by Nyssa Waters, the head of Being Consultants, which is a division of Being AI, and David McDonald, the CEO of Being AI. Before we get started, it's important to remember that investing involves risk. You might lose the money you start with. This Sharesies Special is not financial advice. We always recommend talking to a licensed financial advisor and always review relevant product disclosure documents before deciding to invest. Sharesies has been paid a fee for the production of this episode. So welcome, David and Nyssa. Thanks for joining us. So a lot of people listening to this won't be familiar with Being AI. I was wondering if you could start by telling us a little bit about how the company came about and what the different arms of the business does.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having us on, Redden. The concept for Being AI and how it came about was actually a perfect storm of opportunity in the market, experience and team that kind of came together all at the same time. It's one of those times where, everything sort of perfectly lines up and you can see the vision in front of you. So me and my partner recently adopted our sort of a 7-year-old nephew at the time, and we had sent him off to a school up here in Auckland. And that school happened to be Age, where our co-investors had actually started that school a number of years before. And we got to talking. They had a sort of a career in the tech space in the early sort of dot-com era. We got talking about education. I had just come off the back of the huge success of Altered State Machine and Futureverse, and those companies, Futureverse doing its $1 billion round a few months earlier. And we've seen a real opportunity in the market. I'd recently reconnected with Nyssa, who was working at Google at the time. We'd spent some time over in San Francisco at the Google conference there, and we just seen this massive opportunity in the market around AI, around New Zealand businesses, well, not just New Zealand businesses, but businesses around the world, not really understanding what's going on in the AI space and the emerging technology space. And we had an opportunity to pull something together to not only help those businesses, but also take advantage of the opportunity that AI and emerging technologies is creating, and become really get the first mover advantage on setting up a company like Being AI. So what Being AI is a combination of sort of 3 divisions. We have the Being Ventures division, which is responsible for investing in not just new technologies, interesting technologies in the AI and emerging technology space, but also investing in legacy businesses that we can transform with those technologies. You're going to see a lot of disruption and change coming to industry, not just in New Zealand, but across the world. And a lot of those businesses are going to struggle to keep up with that change and the rapid pace that it's going at. And if we can turn our really deep expertise in AI into value for those businesses, then those businesses become very valuable investments for us to get involved with. The other side of this is the Being Labs department. And the job of Being Labs is to research what's going to be next. What's going to be the next big thing in the market, research the current technologies and make sure that we understand them internally, and also incubate and create new patterns and incubate new ideas that we can apply to our businesses. And then lastly is the Being Consultants arm. And that one's really interesting because not only is there a massive opportunity in the market to help businesses, but we can also turn that really deep AI transformation team and knowledge that we're building up in the consultant side internally on our own investments and what we're doing on the ventures side. And lovely Nyssa here will be heading up that team.
Yeah, it's really exciting. The consultant side of the business was, I guess, where we kind of started from at an idea stage, and it really did grow into realizing that there are so many opportunities within New Zealand and globally to look at how we can use that knowledge to grow businesses. So I think that's how that ecosystem approach came about. And for me, when I was working at Google, there was just so much noise in the AI space, and so many of our customers that we were talking to were getting frustrated because they didn't know how to practically apply some of the trends and some of the technologies that they're seeing in front of them. So the big one there was, how do we actually intimately understand a customer's business and use those technologies in a much more practical fashion, using and leveraging some of the tools that they already have to actually create those outcomes. So the big one here is actually focusing on what can we do for a business and how can we generate some really incredible outcomes with the use of AI and other technologies. So super excited to work with a number of different businesses we're already working with around New Zealand and also expanding into Australia and the US. And it's been phenomenal talking to businesses around how they want to embrace technology for positive change. So yeah.
Thanks for that, guys. I mean, the AI is definitely the hot topic at the moment. In fact, some experts are warning there could be a bit of an AI bubble going on, similar to the dot-com boom, I guess, and bubble. Do you guys think there's any danger of that, or any warranted kind of talk about a bubble?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I think we've got two things here. I think a bubble creates opportunity if you know how to navigate that correctly. And one of the things that we looked at when we looked at the consulting space, I know there's going to be a limited time where, we're currently the experts in the market when it comes to AI, particularly in New Zealand, but there's going to be a limited time, a window for where that's true. I think a lot of people are going to catch up, a lot of businesses are going to catch on, and it's going to become ubiquitous, just like the internet is, and how companies navigate that space now. So we've got an opportunity, a window in time, to take an opportunity of being those deep domain experts, and that opportunity is to build something that's much bigger than that. And that was kind of the idea behind being AI and creating the group structure, is that we can use this opportunity in the market right now to grow capital value and to invest in businesses that are going to be important for a future where AI expands its capabilities and takes over a lot of industries. And we can take advantage of that point in time right now and get those legacy businesses up to speed and make sure that they're prepared for that future. And that creates long-term value for being AI. It's beyond what the bubble and the hype cycle currently is. The other side to that, I think this is distinct from the dot-com boom. I think we've got a lot of people currently in business that went through that and recognize the patterns of that and are at the helms of these companies now. And I think it's a different kind of transformational technology from what the internet and everything that came along with that boom is. I think it's going to have a lot more long-term and profound impact than we can kind of imagine right now. So I expect there to be a hype cycle for sure. I'm not entirely sure it'll be a big bubble and collapse like the dot-com space. But bear in mind that recovered and now is the largest industry in the world. So
personally, I don't even think it's a hype cycle. I think it's a truth cycle. It's here. It's being used in a number of different industries. It's going to transform the way that we do almost everything in our day-to-day lives. So calling it a hype cycle, I think that we need to embrace the technology. And if we think of it as hype, it's not real, it's not believable. But this is actual technology that can revolutionize the way we're doing almost everything.
So on listing, your valuation was set at 45 mil. I was wondering if you could talk us through a little bit how that valuation came about, and particularly whether there's any in terms of the assets or potential customers that you might have to kind of support that valuation.
Yeah, thanks. The way that these things are valued are usually done through an independent evaluator. So you can actually find that information that's lodged with the NZX if you want to do sort of a deep dive into the valuation of the individual companies that coming into this. But broadly speaking, there's a few individual companies coming into this with existing assets, existing customer bases, and existing revenue that support those valuations that the independent evaluator that put on the companies, respective companies.
And as part of the listing, there's an earn-in mechanism for the Being AI team. Could you tell us a little bit about how that's structured and what the impacts might be on potential investors?
Yeah, that's great. So the earn-in mechanism is really good for shareholders because it ties the performance of the Being AI team very closely to the thing that they care about, which is the performance of the company. So to earn our right to be in this company and be in this position, we have to increase shareholder value by 600%, and that earns us our earn-in. And that's really exciting for us because we're super motivated to get that done, and that represents a pretty big value for the shareholders.
Yeah, definitely. So just so if I get that right, so if you are able to increase the share price by 600%, that increases the amount of shares that you're issued in the company?
Yep. That's how we earn our right to be here.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for clarifying that. You both have massively extensive histories in the tech sector. I was wondering if you could give us a bit of a look into what that has been like, your career, and what's led you to this point.
Yeah, well, it's kind of been a long time coming. I had pretty interesting sort of background growing up. I originally from Levin, farm boy. I was spent most of my childhood in a 30-foot rusty Bedford school bus with 7 family members. But we did have one thing. We had an Amiga 500 computer, which I taught myself how to program on that pretty early on. So I had a deep fascination with technology, and it was kind of my only sort of escape from that world, and that sort of led to my career in technology. I started off early in my career geospatial software engineering, and very quickly moved into sort of executive management side of things, and then got into the venture space probably about 9 years ago with Centrality. Was the CEO of Centrality Japan. During that time, I had probably touched about 30 ventures going through my portfolio, which I helped in various ways, and also started a couple of my own. The most recent successful one was Alter State Machine, which we did New Zealand's largest seed round a couple of years back in history. That was in the AI space specifically, and then we recently sort of exited out of that in an M&A activity, forming up the company called Futureverse, which purchased Alter State Machine for 300 million, and then that went on to be $1 billion Kiwi unicorn in its own right. So that's been an interesting journey, and then coming and getting the opportunity to put Being AI together with this amazing team, and here we are today.
He's a tough act to follow. Awesome. I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but the Amiga 500 story is actually one of the best stories because it's quite funny. We're similar ages, and I'm pretty much exactly the same. How I got into technology in the first place was exactly that, playing games on the old Amiga 500 that I'd have to do chores to earn a reward to. So really funny hearing that story. For me, I have been so passionate about technology from such a young age, and I think being a female in the space has always allowed me to live a little bit of a different identity. Going back in the many years ago into the geek zone worlds when I was a teenager, my tagline was "Girl in a Man's World," which I still kind of resonate with today. But started in telco and at Telecom New Zealand, then into Gen I, and now the company is obviously called Spark, and had the amazing leadership by a number of different executives in that space to learn from. Chris Quinn's one of them. He was a fascinating, amazing mentor of mine. But being able to really focus on customers and using technology to solve some of those business problems has been my utmost fascination and passion. So worked across that company for 10 years, then went over to Sydney, spread my wings as Kiwis tend to do, and worked for Telstra over in Australia. So lived in Sydney for 10 years, with the last 2, had a couple of kids and realised that I wanted to do more. I kind of had spent time in a vast range of different technologies, being cloud, SD-WAN, telco, mobile, all of these amazing tech. But then moving into the bigger tech, deeper tech space was really where my passion lay. So jumped across to Google. I was offered a role at AWS at Google and also Microsoft, and felt like Google was the right culture fit for me personally. I really believe in doing good in the world, and spent a couple of years over there working with enterprise customers of all shapes and sizes. Got the opportunity to come back. I have a couple of kids, so a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and when you have children, the world changes and you see things in a completely different light, and being able to run around in grass and craft the world in a completely different way was what I wanted to do in coming home. So moved over here with Google and somehow managed to have this amazing man as one of my customers. So I was heading up the fintech and financial services space here for Google New Zealand. And working with David, I saw this incredible deep tech knowledge, particularly in the AI space, that traditional companies just don't have access to. And that's where that problem statement kind of came out, going, how can we take this amazing knowledge and bring it into other companies and help them realize those benefits, because they just don't have the in-house resources to do it. So it was super exciting to go, here's an opportunity where we can do good for New Zealand, we can help grow companies, we can play with these amazing technologies like AI and cloud and other emerging technologies like robotics coming up. So super excited for what that future might be in the next steps of our career.
Yeah, definitely. And when I looked on your website, I can see there's a number of highly skilled employees, quite a diverse range of skills. Where did you get all of them from? How did you bring them together to form your team?
I might, recall a earlier question where I said it was kind of a perfect storm of opportunity and people, and that people are pretty key to putting something together like this. I've been fortunate enough throughout my career to meet a lot of amazingly highly skilled people who bring a lot to the table, and have fortunately convinced them to join me. So we've got the likes of Dr. Nicholas, who's got to be the foremost AI expert in the country, certainly very well around in the world for his expertise and sort of deep mathematics and AI. Worked with him, had the fortunate ability to work with him through Altered State Machine and Futureverse, and he was excited to come and join the team. He brings some really good deep technical expertise. I've also got Erin Zink, who is just a master of pretty much everything she puts her mind to. She also joins me from Altered State Machine and through Futureverse. She was my head of strategy at Altered State Machine, and you can see how well that company did. So she must be worth something. Being head of strategy, and she brings to the team a lot of getting shit done, if you don't mind me saying. And we've rounded out the team with some really amazing people, including Paul, who's he's got a very impressive career. We're very lucky to bring him on as our CMO, and the amazing work that he's done to date, and you guys will see in the market soon. And very fortunate to be able to get that expertise on board. And then our board of directors is also pretty stacked as well. So again, it's that perfect storm of people and personalities that have come on.
Yeah, cool. And so now that you are listed and you've gone through that whole process, what next? What's the first cabs off the rank? What are the ones you're going to focus on straight away now that you're now that you're listed?
We've been very busy leading up to this, a lot of activity going on, and that's definitely not going to slow down. That's only going to accelerate from here on out. We have, we're going to be doing a lot of activity in the market. You're going to be seeing a lot of things coming out of Being AI, out of the consulting side. We're obviously under NDA on a lot of those things that Nyssa and her team are working on at the moment with customers. A lot of customers want first mover advantage in the transformation projects, but you'll start to see a lot of that coming out. And you'll start to see a lot of activity that we're going to be doing in the market on the ventures side, and really interesting technology coming out of labs. So this is going to be a pretty exciting year for us, and we hope, for the people following us on this journey that they're also going to be equally as excited.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot going on, a lot of potential growth. Which, I mean, speaking of, how do you plan to fund all this growth, all these exciting things that you've got planned?
Yeah, so our investors and shareholders are very supportive of our mission. And also, I'm no stranger to raising funds for businesses. As I mentioned before, I've already done, the largest seed round in New Zealand history. We've done, the $1 billion A round for Futureverse and a number of other ventures that I've been involved with. So raising capital, something I'm very familiar with. Usually offshore is the majority of where my connections are in the capital raising space. And we'll be looking to raise funds through there for the activities we need to do.
But this is really about giving access for, people within New Zealand to come on this journey with us, right? Not many Kiwis or standard people get the opportunity to invest in such high growth companies. And when we say we need to raise 600% growth, right, pretty significant, and that's what we're aiming towards. So we're hoping that this is going to be a pretty amazing story for New Zealand.
Yeah, and platforms like Sharesies, I mean, that's
huge.
That's pretty, what you guys are doing and what you're enabling people to get involved in is pretty amazing. So we really appreciate what you guys are doing in the market for companies and for people wanting to invest.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. It's been a super interesting talk. Really enjoyed hearing more about your guys' background and what you got planned for the company. If there is one thing that I guess you could leave with everyone at the end of this interview, what would your kind of message to our listeners be?
Watch us. We've got an exciting year ahead of us. We've got some really big things that are already underway that I think people are going to be excited about, and we've got some pretty big plans too. So the opportunity in this market is massive, and we've got first mover advantage here. We're going big early with the most kick-ass team that you can put together to take advantage of it.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and a big thanks to David and Nyssa for joining us. We really appreciate your time and look forward to watching how you get on. Enjoy the rest of your day.